Imagine someone looking at you, not at the mask you show the world, not at your resume, not at your accomplishments, but right through the layers, right into the very core of who you are, the part you hide even from yourself. That moment everything shifts. Your perspective, your energy, your purpose. Suddenly, the chaos of the world, the doubts, the failures, they shrink. Because when someone truly sees your soul, they ignite something that no recognition, no success, no title ever could. You might think you've been understood before. Friends, family, colleagues, they care, they listen. But do they see the raw truth, the unpolished, vulnerable, authentic version of you? Most people walk through life without ever experiencing this. They exist in a bubble of appearances, in a fog of expectations, validation, and routine. But once that veil lifts, once the right person sees you, it's like a spark lighting a fuse. Suddenly, clarity comes rushing in. You see yourself in ways you couldn't before, and it's both terrifying and exhilarating. Because what they see isn't just your successes. They see your doubts, your fears, your contradictions. They see the parts of you you try to hide, the messy human, imperfect essence. And they don't flinch, they don't run, they don't judge. Instead, they recognize the brilliance and potential buried inside the struggle. That recognition, it transforms how you walk through the world. It shifts your ambitions, your choices, even the way you breathe. For the first time, you feel aligned, not with someone else's expectations, but with the deepest, most authentic version of yourself. Hold on to that thought, because it's rare. And in the sections ahead, we'll explore why this rare vision is a turning point. Not just emotionally, but in every decision, every dream, every single action you take. Think about it. Most people spend their entire lives performing. They mold themselves to fit expectations, to chase validation, to hide the parts that might make them look weak, flawed, or unworthy. But when someone sees you, not the polished exterior, not the curated persona, but the raw, unfiltered truth, something incredible happens. The masks start to fall layer by layer, and in that space, a transformation begins. It's not subtle, it's profound. Suddenly, the anxiety that once consumed you loses its grip. The insecurities that whispered, "You're not enough," grow silent. Because someone else has already looked beyond them and said, implicitly, "I see you, and you matter." This isn't about ego, it's about alignment. Your inner world, the dreams you barely admit to yourself, the doubts you bury in the quiet moments, they suddenly gain permission to exist. And with permission comes power, real power. When your soul is recognized, you start making decisions differently. You no longer operate from fear of judgment or failure. You take risks not to prove something to the world, but because you know your essence is already understood. Creativity flows without hesitation. Ideas you've suppressed start to erupt. You take bold steps, not reckless ones, but steps that are informed by clarity, by truth, by authenticity. And here's the remarkable part. This shift isn't temporary. It doesn't fade like fleeting praise or recognition. It embeds itself into your very being. You begin to navigate life with a new kind of confidence, a quiet, steady certainty that what you are is enough. And with that certainty comes a ripple effect. Relationships deepen, ambitions sharpen, and even the failures you encounter feel smaller, more manageable, because the core of who you are has been witnessed and honored. When someone truly sees your soul, it's not just clarity that hits you, it's emotion. Raw, unfiltered, overwhelming emotion. You feel a weight lift, the tension you've carried for years unspooling in an instant. Your chest feels lighter, your heart strangely more open. Because suddenly, vulnerability isn't a weakness, it's a superpower. Think about it, how often do we hide? We tuck away our fears, our doubts, our deepest desires, because the world has taught us that exposing them is dangerous. That someone might laugh, reject, or misunderstand us. But in that sacred moment, when someone peers into your essence and doesn't recoil, they stay. They don't judge. They don't turn away. And that acceptance, that radical acknowledgement, is profoundly moving. It's electric. It sparks courage inside you didn't know existed. And courage doesn't just mean bold actions in business or in life. It's courage to feel, courage to admit, courage to embrace the imperfections that you once thought disqualified you. You start to face your fears without the weight of shame or pretense. You begin to speak truths you've hidden, chase dreams you've postponed, and build bridges in relationships that were long neglected. This is not superficial motivation. It's a seismic internal shift. You recognize that your essence, your flaws, your brilliance, your contradictions, all of it, can coexist and be seen without fear. And once that emotional intensity settles, you carry a new energy into every corner of your life. You approach people, projects, and possibilities differently. You feel grounded yet alive, seen yet free. That combination, emotional clarity and radical authenticity, is the moment everything changes. When someone sees your soul, something remarkable happens. Your decisions stop being about appeasing the world. They stop being about fear, obligation, or the need to fit a mold. Instead, every choice begins to align with the truth of who you are. You start making decisions that resonate with your core, decisions that reflect your values, your passions, and your deepest ambitions, not someone else's expectations. Before this moment, life can feel like a constant tug of war. You're pulled in multiple directions. Career, relationships, social pressures, all demanding your attention. But when your essence is recognized, you gain a compass that doesn't lie. That recognition acts as a mirror, reflecting the authentic version of you back at yourself. Suddenly, your priorities clarify. You can see the distractions that were sapping your energy, the commitments that no longer serve your growth. And in that clarity, power emerges. Real power. Ambitions start to transform. They no longer exist as superficial goals, trophies to display, or benchmarks imposed by society. They become an expression of your inner self. You pursue projects, ventures, and ideas not for validation, but because they reflect the truest version of your potential. The energy that once went into doubt and hesitation is now channeled into action, creativity, and meaningful impact. Purpose shifts too. It's no longer abstract or borrowed from others. It becomes intensely personal. Every step you take feels deliberate, every effort imbued with meaning. And the beauty of it, this clarity doesn't just improve your career or your relationships. It reshapes your entire experience of life. You walk through the world with a quiet confidence, guided by authenticity, grounded in truth, and motivated by the power of being truly seen. When someone truly sees your soul, the change doesn't stop with you. It ripples outward, touching everyone around you. Think about it, the energy you carry, the authenticity you exude, it's contagious. People sense it. They feel the difference between someone who is hiding behind masks and someone who is aligned with their essence. Your presence becomes magnetic, not because you're trying, but because you're real. Relationships transform almost immediately. Superficial interactions fade, and connections that matter deepen. You communicate differently. Your words carry weight because they're rooted in truth. You listen differently because you're no longer distracted by the need to protect a persona. Conflicts become opportunities for growth instead of fear-driven arguments. And empathy flows naturally because you've felt the vulnerability of being truly known. And it doesn't just improve personal relationships. It transforms the way you lead, collaborate, and influence others. People are drawn to your clarity, your courage, and your authenticity. They follow you not because of a title or authority, but because of the alignment between who you are and what you do. Your actions inspire. Your vision resonates. And you discover that influence isn't about controlling others. It's about empowering them to embrace their own truth. Even small acts of being authentic, showing honesty, admitting mistakes, expressing genuine emotion, create a cascade. One moment of courage and truth sparks another, and another, until authenticity becomes a culture, a force, a movement. That's the power of being seen. It doesn't just change you, it transforms the ecosystem around you, silently, profoundly, irreversibly. When someone truly sees your soul, something inside you unshackles. The chains of self-doubt, the constant worry about judgment, the pressure to perform, they all begin to dissolve. You experience a freedom that most people never encounter. It's not just the absence of fear. It's a profound courage that courses through every decision you make, every risk you take, every dream you chase. Before this, life often feels like walking through a maze of expectations, trying to anticipate how the world will react. Every step is cautious, every word calculated. But when someone sees the essence of who you are, you realize that the core of you is already validated. That knowledge rewires your brain, your habits, your instinctive reactions. Suddenly, you act not to protect yourself, but to express yourself. You speak your truth boldly. You innovate without hesitation. You love without holding back. This fearlessness is not reckless. It's deliberate, grounded in authenticity. It empowers you to challenge norms, to defy mediocrity, to pursue ideas that once felt impossible. You start experimenting in life, work, and relationships in ways that feel daring, but in reality, they are the natural expression of your true self. And here's the secret: freedom and fearlessness create momentum. One bold choice leads to another. One authentic act inspires a cascade of creativity, courage, and influence. The world starts to bend not because you're fighting it, but because you've aligned with yourself so fully that every step you take resonates with purpose and clarity. And being truly seen doesn't just change your perspective, it transforms the very way you move through the universe. It frees you to be limitless not in ambition alone, but in the power to live fully, fearlessly, and without compromise. When someone truly sees your soul, you begin a journey of self-discovery unlike anything else. It's as if a light switches on inside, illuminating corners of yourself you never knew existed. The dreams you buried under fear, if the talents you dismissed as impossible, the strengths you ignored, they suddenly rise to the surface. You realize that so much of what you thought defined you is only a shadow, and the real you has been waiting quietly to emerge. This recognition acts like a mirror, but not a reflective, superficial mirror. It shows you your essence, your potential, and even your flaws with crystal clarity. And paradoxically, seeing your flaws in this light doesn't paralyze you. It frees you. It frees you to embrace imperfection, to experiment boldly, to innovate relentlessly, because now your worth is not conditional on being perfect. It's rooted in being real. When your soul is witnessed, growth accelerates. You start asking different questions. Not, will they like me? But, am I aligned with what matters most? Not, is this safe? But, is this authentic? The answers propel you forward in ways that logic alone cannot predict. Every decision, every project, every relationship becomes a laboratory for exploring what's possible when fear is removed and authenticity leads. And the beauty of this growth is that it compounds. Each revelation about yourself opens the door to another. Each act of courage inspires another. Your hidden potential, once dormant, now becomes a tangible force. You no longer settle for the ordinary, because you've tasted the extraordinary clarity that comes from being truly seen. You start to live intentionally, purposefully, and unapologetically, aware that your true self is not only worthy of recognition, but capable of transforming the world around you. When someone truly sees your soul, the spark inside you ignites into unstoppable energy. Suddenly, the barriers that once seemed insurmountable, the fear of failure, the doubt, the what-ifs, lose their power. You begin to move with purpose, guided not by external pressure or fleeting motivation, but by the undeniable force of your authentic self. Every idea you've hesitated to pursue, every risk you avoided, every dream you set aside, they demand attention now. This self-awareness is the ultimate fuel for ambition. You no longer chase hollow goals defined by society. You chase visions that resonate with your essence. And with clarity comes creativity. Your mind begins to connect dots in ways it never did before. Solutions to problems that once seemed impossible suddenly appear. You innovate with confidence because the fear of judgment has dissolved. You create not for recognition, but because creation itself is a reflection of your inner truth. Action, too, becomes deliberate and relentless. You don't waste time on distractions or meaningless approval. Every step you take is purposeful, aligned with your values and your potential. You push boundaries, not recklessly, but strategically, informed by the clarity that being seen provides. And the world responds. Opportunities, collaborations, breakthroughs, they multiply when your energy is authentic, focused, and fearless. The transformation is profound because it isn't temporary. This clarity-driven ambition is sustainable. It doesn't burn out, it evolves. Every success builds momentum, and every setback teaches lessons without diminishing your confidence. Being truly seen doesn't just change your perspective, it amplifies your capacity to act, to create, and to achieve at a level you may have once thought impossible. You become a force, not by ego, but by alignment with your deepest self. When someone truly sees your soul, it doesn't just change a moment in your life, it reshapes your very identity. You stop performing for validation. You stop bending to the world's expectations. You start living as the authentic version of yourself, fully aware of your strengths, your flaws, and your limitless potential. This self-recognition becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence, the kind that doesn't waver when challenges arise or when critics speak. Your identity becomes anchored in truth, not in approval. You no longer need external validation because you've been internally witnessed and understood. You carry yourself differently. Your posture, your tone, your decisions, they all reflect alignment with your soul. You speak boldly because your words are rooted in honesty. You act decisively because your actions are guided by clarity. The world no longer intimidates you. It becomes a canvas for your ideas, your creativity, and your authentic impact. Confidence takes on a new meaning. It's quiet yet powerful, steady yet unstoppable. It's not arrogance. It's the calm certainty that you are enough, that your essence is already recognized, and that your path is yours to forge. With this internal validation, fear loses its grip and hesitation is replaced by action. You begin to approach life strategically, passionately, and courageously, knowing that every choice resonates with who you truly are. This transformation is profound and lasting. It colors your relationships, your ambitions, your creativity, and even the way you experience joy and struggle. Every interaction, every goal, every challenge is infused with meaning because it originates from the authentic core of who you are. Being truly seen doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. When someone truly sees your soul, everything changes, but not in small, superficial ways. The shift is seismic. Your mind sharpens, your heart expands, and your entire being realigns with the truth of who you are. Life becomes clearer, bolder, and infinitely more meaningful. You move with purpose, you create with passion, and you connect with the world in ways you never imagined. This is not fantasy. It's the reality of being witnessed at the deepest level. Once someone sees your essence, you no longer need permission to exist authentically. You stop hiding, stop performing, stop settling. Every fear that once held you back, fear of failure, of judgment, of inadequacy, loses its grip. You act from clarity, from alignment, from courage, and from the raw power of being fully recognized. And here's the ultimate truth. Being seen doesn't just transform you. It transforms everyone and everything around you. Your relationships deepen, your ambitions amplify, your creativity flows, and your influence grows, naturally and powerfully. You become a force not because of external validation, but because the core of who you are has been acknowledged, honored, and set free. So remember this: when someone truly sees your soul, it is the spark that ignites your transformation. It is the moment that rewrites your story, not as it has been, but as it was always meant to be. Your life, becomes extraordinary, not because the world has changed, but because you have been seen, fully, authentically, and unconditionally. And from that moment on, nothing is ever the same.